Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What's shaking on your Tuesday? We haven't even crashed yet. We haven't crashed one time. Wolf's asking me if I've got another Jag. I'm looking at a couple, and one of them seems really good, but it's a guy that says he's a dealer, car dealer. And he wants me to come to where he's at, which is like 20 miles from where I work, which is not a big deal. But he wants me to also pay him the tax, title, and license. And it just doesn't seem right. And I'm trying to figure out a way I can check and see if he's a dealer. Ha 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 ha. Oh, by the way, tonight, let me tell you about this one time at band camp, because I don't really know what tonight's show about, because I didn't plan anything, because I thought we were going to have another crash fest from my good friends at StreamYard. Sorry, something in my eye. Yeah, so... And then there's another one that is actually pretty cheap. But it's got some issues, but I think I know what the issues are. And I'm very tempted to go look at it, put my tester on it, and figure it out, and then just fix it up. Because they're not, stuff I could figure out. The guy that's sketchy doesn't know whether the Jags of the era I'm talking about have something called computer air technology suspension, which when they came out was really great. It's a pneumatic system that balances out the car with a computer calculating your throttle and your speedometer speed and all this other stuff. But after this many years, that usually goes bad, and you have to do what's called a coilover conversion, which, if you haven't had it done, you're going to have it done, and it's about $2,500. Now, I don't mind doing that, but I'm not going to pay the full freight for that. And the fact that the guy doesn't know does not give me a great deal of confidence that he's a dealer. So I just got to figure it out. I've got a couple of guys I've asked if the ones they're advertising are still available, and they haven't responded to me. So we're going to find out. Joker says, it was fun for us last night. Yeah. You guys love it when I'm tormented. Run a check on the one with problems. Oh, I will. I have an onboard diagnostic tester thingy and stuff. And but I see, here's the thing. I want him to come to where I'm at for two reasons. Number one, I want to see the car after it's driven, because this guy also lives about 20 miles away. And it's like, can it make it 20 miles, right? And I want to see the car when it's hot. And my mechanic is 0.8 of a mile from where I currently work now. And I would take it over there, and I would tell the guy in advance, drive it over here, we'll go over there and have him look at it, and everything's, yeah, I'll pay it, and then I'll Uber you home. So there's just a lot of logistics, and then I'll have another Jag. And I want to get it all taken care of. Some of these people are sketchy, and I ain't buying one from a dealer. That's just, you're just begging to be taken advantage of. I won't be taken advantage of because I know too much about them. That's the other thing about this guy. He's like, what's the suspension? And he's only had it a couple of months. Maybe the mechanic knows that the guy is for real. Well, I'll ask him, but I don't think he will. He's like an independent one-person dealership. Get a Yugo. No. I must have a Jaguar. That is my car of record. And I love my Jaguars. I love them. But I like the old classic styling. The new ones made in India, they might as well be a, Ford Focus. Probably got it in an auction. I don't know where he got it. And if everything's cool with the car, he's not asking for too much money. My fear is he's sketchy. And he signs the title over and we do all the deal. And then it's one of those, well, I didn't have authority to sell the car to begin with, you know. The Wolf loves his Volvo and his Cougar. Yes, the Wolf does love his Volvo and his Cougar. Incidentally, I have absolutely nothing prepared for tonight's show. I figured we'd have crashed already. I guess I could see if the phone lines will open without crashing us. I stayed up all night doing stuff to this computer and doing StreamYard things that I shouldn't have had to do. And then StreamYard noticed that Facebook has new standards for brr, brr, brr. And you have to have 100 followers. I do. There were 3 things that I accomplished 10 years ago. That page has to be alive for 30 days or some other dumb thing. And I just went, you know what? I'm sick of your crud. SG Fanboy says, I thought we were doing it at 8 from now on. Yeah, we are. I mean, it'll be on at 8. But I decided today that sometimes we're going to do it at whenever time I feel like o'clock. And I wanted to start early in case we went to Crashville. So I wanted to test it, make sure everything was groovy, oovy. Because I didn't want to go crashy. But I thank you for paying attention, SG Fanboy. I thank you. Well, we're not crashing so far, but I did so many things last night. I found the root boot up file for. I just did so many things. I did a lot of things. By the way, wait, hold on. Let me see here. I can probably find this out on my phone. That way I don't have to worry about a computer. That way I don't have to worry about a computer. There's one thing I don't want to do. It's okay, earn. Let's see how much we've made. Payment is headed my way. Oh, thus far in the month of June, I have earned and this is for the whole month of June, and we're on the 11th day. I've earned $20.06. So my golden years are well taken care of. The Wolf says, SG just wants to know so he can prepare more hilarious picks. He does prepare hilarious picks. Have him triple A it to your mechanics. He can. The Jaguar, when there's certain things wrong, and I know what those certain things are, will put it in restricted performance mode, which just means you can't accelerate super fast. You can gradually accelerate at an actual reasonable acceleration speed. You just can't put the hammer down. And so that's what's going on there. Speaking of hilarious picks, there he is. The ice cream seller. And of course, everybody loves Galumbo, don't they? And then there's G.I. Pervitine, Tom Gully. And then, of course, scary Scarlet Witch, Tom Gully. What was it? I had to drive a Jaguar once. I was nervous. I'm not to be nervous about. Steve Maverick says, Wolf, it's difficult because I never know what the show will be about. Join the club, SG Fanboy. Well, I usually put it in the title. And you have on several occasions, SG Fanboy, in just the time from, me You've come up with something. But take a breather, SG fanboy. You've done so much already. You are the one that created, yes, ice cream truck guy Tom Gully and GI with Pervitine, the official pick-me-up of the Tom Gully Show, and Scarlet Witch Tom Gully. That's all you, my man. You're the one that made Dennis Bergkamp Tom Gully, which many people love. Yes. You're the one that made Retro Tom Gully. You're the one that made Incredible Hulk Tom Gully from Endgame. SG, you are the best. He is the best, isn't he? Scary Scarlet Witch is totally hilarious, says Diana Bryan. Scary Scarlet Witch might be my favorite next to Galumbo. You took everything from me. I don't even know who you are. You will. But I think Galumbo has to be my favorite because that's a look that's on my face a lot. SG Family says it all depends on if I'm at work or at home with nothing to do. Well, I know that feeling. Terry Nee says, just keep paying for my Medicare, fanboy. That's all I hope for. Yes. Jokerfish says, SJ had a hilarious meltdown today. Quadfather finally did his joke. It bombed. What was his joke? Quadfather, I've got no use for. Absolutely none. 100%. My Lord, those are funny. They are funny. You got it, Terry. We'll just keep paying for Terry. Terry Nee is part of the Bob Levy Boomer crew. The Bob Levy Boomer crew consisting of myself, the Reverend Wild Bill, if he wants to be a member of it, Terry Nee. The Wolf could be a member of it, but the Wolf is kind of like Wild Bill. He's sometimes difficult to get him to join a group. Quad said the N-word. Oh, boy. Well, that's Quad's thing. The Rev is here. Incidentally, the phone lines are open. Phone lines are open. They might crash when somebody calls them, but they're open. And there's no telling when this show will end. It might end in 40 minutes. It might end in an hour and 10 minutes. There's just no way to tell. I started it really early in case we crashed. Reverend Wild Bill with another one of his hilarious Bazooka Joe comics level jokes. Incidentally, the Wolf is never high. He doesn't do that. Although he does like his liquor with 2 Ks. Makes beer. He makes 180 proof beer. The only libation that I have ever partaken of, created by the Wolf, would be the legendary Guru. I've had his Guru. I'll let others call in. I won't call. Awesome. The Wolf, you don't have to. It's just we're too tight for you to give me money, man. I'll drink to that, Wolf. I know he only likes his liquor. Wolf, come on, man. We go back too far. We've split pizzas before. We've gone in on Greek's Pizza. Pizza King. Diana Bryan says, for a living or as a hobby? Just a hobby. The Wolf was also very frequently the guy that we would get to go in and buy the alcohol at the liquor store when we were too young. And incidentally, he was too young, but they didn't question him. Joker, you rambunctious little scamp, you. So, yeah. Wolf says, I'm thinking about making more liquor. The Wolf makes very deadly liquor and beer because it's super high in alcohol content, but you can't taste it at all. Julian Zeezer says liquor, spirits, whiskey, etc. If you're classy, pinky out. You know the difference. If you're classy. Everything we do here is classy. Don't kid yourself. You lower downs were classy. Terry Nee says, I would drink at Reverend Bill's altar. Oh, that's the Penn State spelling of altar. God, that was so stuttering John of me. I'm sorry. I'm not Dabbleverse. I'm Dabbleverse adjacent. No idea what I'm having for dinner tonight. I forgot to get proteins at the... Oh, I know what I can have. Never mind. I just figured it out. Just that quick. Julian Ziza says, I'm being chased around the room by a mosquito. I need to turn the tables on that parasite. You do. Lyndon says, Stuttering John had a bad day today. What's a good day for that dude? The Wolf says, yeah, that was the joke to make me the youngest pay for booze after pretending to purchase it. I remember the times I think we went to Bob's Bottle Shop and Muncie Liquors were the places we went to. And I remember that myself and another guy, we had that big hockey bag, and we weren't just getting one bottle of alcohol. We were getting a ton of beer and a ton of booze, and we would always say, and get what you want too, and we'll pay for it. That seemed to me to be an equitable trade. And you would get Grolsch with that custom top of the Grolsch. That was the first I'd ever known of Grolsch. Because at the time when I was in college, I was drinking Heineken Dark, I think, was the beer I drank. Of course, everybody at our school drank Little King's cream ale, so I might have gotten some of that too. And then I would get some Ron Rico and maybe some Jack Daniels. We'd put it in that big hockey bag and then try to walk up past the, people, the desk and everybody else, all the hall staffs. Clink, 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 clink. They didn't care. Jokerfish says, stupid cap on Grolsch. I think it was classy. It was enamel and stuff. And Reverend Wild Bill says, the good old days when a teenager could go into a 7-Eleven and walk out with a couple bottles of Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill before school. We could never do that. Not in our area. But at Ball State, if you knew people that looked old enough, And I have to say, I started going into bars now in Muncie, Indiana, 1920. So it wasn't that big of a thrill, especially when you considered that I got to pay for all the booze in here. I can pay $3 at a off-campus party and drink 7,000 gallons of alcohol. 7,000. That's back when I drank, But we all drank. We were in college. Come on. We all did it. The year 1920, Tom? No. It was during Prohibition. I also remember seeing the Wolf run with a full keg of beer on his shoulder, just flying up the stairs. We couldn't keep up with him. Girls seemed so sophisticated. garbage. Oh, don't disparage the Wolf's Grolsch now. Reverend Wild Beer says Grolsch beer. That was my choice of beer. Little King's Cream Ale and Mickey's Largemouth. Mickey's, what was it? Mickey's, it was called, I do remember those largemouth bottles. It was Mickey's Malt Liquor, I think was what it was called. This is big. Hams also had Big Mouth the beer. It was a large-mouthed bottle. Grandma told me fun stories about drinking during Prohibition. And bathtub gin. Terry said you had to be liquored up at Ball State. Well, it was a party school. It was a party school now. Of course, we didn't have... Well, never mind. Dinah Bryan says, I've still got one of those empty bottles of Grolsch in the kitchen cupboard. That was the lads when they lived at home. Yes, it's an artifact. It's a nice bottle. Then they came out with small pony beers. Yes. Well, the Little King's Cream Ales were only like 7 ounces. They were little hand grenades. And that's because you had to drink them cold. Because when they got warm, they were Ballantine. Ballantine is the beer to have when you're having more than one. No, Schaefer's is the beer to have when you're having more than one. Ballantine also had a nice jingle. And Rheingold, my beer is Rheingold, the dry beer, east side, west side, all across the town. Rheingold extra dry beer is the beer of great renown. Always friendly, Rheingold, always something in dry. Anyway, the Reverend says Mickey's was too small. Mickey's Malt Liquor, too. They also had Mickey. Oh, and then they had George Dickel. Give me some of that George Dickel. Yeah, George Dickel. So I guess we haven't crashed. By the by, let's get Galumbo off the screen for just a second. Hey, look at the studios of KRLD back in the day. Not when I worked there. Pearl, that's a Texas beer. Julian says, Mickey's, when I used to work at a bar that was the cheapest stuff we sold. Somebody started ordering those the girls would know they weren't getting a tip. The chef is in the house, Randy Ramos. One of his 2 identities. Over there on Facebook, doing a yeoman's job. Hello to the 10 people watching us on Twitter. We love you, Twitter folks. We are sorry that Elon Musk has decided you can't comment in our super chats and chats. Wild Bill says, I hated Coors. It's not pasteurized. It's just too weak. Yeah. The DDLD says Schmitz was my grandfather's beer. There was a delivery truck back then. Every Saturday night, they'd drop him off a case, he'd get drunk, and then threaten the refrigerator. Good times. My grandfather on the one side, well, on the other side, my grandfather, I think, drank mixed drinks. I never really saw him drink that much. But on my father's side, the Blatz. Sometimes Schlitz, but usually Blatz. But they made a lot of their own beer, potato beer and stuff. Julian Caesar says, we used to have the Schmitz Brewery in the neighborhood. Now it's a fancy set of condos. Good night, everybody. Gotta run. Good night, Joker. 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 I'll tell you something. I still got my belt on from work, and it's binding me up. It hurts. It hurts. So, here we are again. Don't know anything that happened to Stuttering John today. I'm sure there'll be a Rico tonight, right? Carling Black Label, bottled in Atlanta, Georgia. I remember Carling Black Label. There was a lot of people drank Carling back in the day. Fantastic game show you just quoted there, Gully. Yes. The DDLD. SG Fanboy says, Heineken for me when I was still drinking. I used to drink some Heineken, the Wolf says, I use Grolsch bottles for my beer. I can remember carrying 10 cases of Blatt's glass bottles upstairs in my sweet bag. It weighed a couple 100 pounds. Yeah, the Wolf, that would be easy for the Wolf, a couple 100 pounds. Red Bill says, the best redneck beer was PBR. Red, white, and blue, Wiedemann's, Heilemann's Old Style, Meisterbrow. There used to be really good regional breweries because beers, before trucks got super refrigerated, they had to be regional. Now, certain national beers would have breweries in like all over the place, but you didn't used to be. I mean, that's the whole plot of Smokey and the Bandit. You didn't used to be able to get Coors east of the Mississippi. And there were laws against it because it wasn't pasteurized. Randy says, when I was younger, I had a beer can collection. I wish I had it now. A lot of those cans would be worth a lot of money. Everybody had a beer can collection when you're like in junior high school. You go walking down the roads and you trade them. And Pabst Blue Ribbon. Yes, we all know what PBR. Pabst Blue Ribbon. Pabst Blue Ribbon. Schlitz. Colt 45 malt liquor. There was a lot of good ones. From the land of sky blue waters comes the beer refreshing Hams. A lot of people in my family drank Hams when it was a good beer. And Yuengling was a local brewery. It is the oldest brewery running nonstop in the United States of America. Schlitz. Yep. Regional breweries are coming back because the hipsters love them. We have a bunch of little ones in the neighborhood, but they all buy their supplies from the big national companies. Yeah, they're not the same. Not the same. It's because the regional breweries were really macro brews, but the Wolf says the best was brand beer from Holland. It came in a milk white bottle, was really smooth. I drank 72 Little Kings one night. Yeah, the Wolf would just put them in it. Done. Billy Beer. Yeah, this is Billy Carter's beer, Billy Beer. There was Dixie. Dixie was a beer. Old English malt liquor. Yep. Well, Old Milwaukee. Milwaukee's best. SG Family says, I got to go. It's 8 p.m. Time for the Tom Gully Show. Yes, I am the Tom Gully. I haven't appeared on anybody else's show in a long time. I've become not that great of a get. The DDLD says, I drank Hams with Frank's Red Hot in it at a bar in Philly named Lorraine's. It was better than I thought it would be. Frank's Red Hot makes everything good, like cake, you name it. The Wolf says bottles like Grolsch are very expensive to buy for home brewers. Yes, they are. Terry Nee says raw costs are killing microbreweries. Microbreweries, all their beer tastes to me like it was strained through a sock. I'm not crazy about microbreweries. Good evening, Tom and Chatters. Good evening, Jenny G. It is so nice to see you. So very, very nice to see you. The phone lines are open. 972-994-6822 is the number to go. Jenny, who can I turn to? For the price of a dime, I can always turn to you. I can. What is an IPA beer? That's India Pale Ale. I think. Good evening, everyone, says Randy. Hello, Randy. Are you feeling Randy? SG Fanboy getting his just accolades here in this room. He, after all, is the one that created the now legendary Tom Gully Incredible Hulk and the much feared Tom Gully Ice Cream Man. Did you hear David Lee Roth's cover of Jenny? Pretty rough. No, I'm not a big David Lee Roth fan. I always thought he was kind of a jackass. I was kind of a jackwagon. Just the gigolo. dumb faces. And I'm sorry. The Incredible Bulk. Yes. I don't know. I had to float a trial balloon past somebody associated with DabbleCon 2 to see if I were to indeed show up, if I could get on one of the things, if I could be a featured guest. It's like if it's the Woodstock poster, I would be one of the small names at the bottom, but I'd be one of the names. I don't want to just go to it. Anybody can just go to it. Let me see something here. Let me see. I got to see something. Let's see. Dallas to Rochester, NY direct flight. Good to see. Yeah. Flights to Rochester, round trip starting from $69. Yeah, right. Okay. Dallas, Texas, all airports to Rochester, New York, rock. Connecting flights only. Well, that means I'm not going. Not taking a connecting flight. Well, let's see here. Starting from, let's see, round trip. Oh, come on, I reloaded the page. From Dallas, Fort Worth to Rochester, Monroe County. Is that where it's at? June. Let's see here. When's that? It's in August, right? It's August 15th and 16th. So June, July, August. So it's 15th. 15th and 16th is a Thursday and a Friday. I got to take 2 days off of work, which means I have to leave on the 14th, right? And I guess I'd return that Sunday. Oh man, and then I got to pay for hotel. Done. Search. This is not looking promising, ladies and gentlemen. See, that right there is a reason not to do it. That's like a deal breaker for me, is going anywhere where there's a connecting flight. It's still loading. It's going to take a week. I think I have miles on American. Oh, wait. Oh, here it is. Well, that looks like a direct flight. Oh, one stop. Change terminals. The class service you may not be able to want to do as a company or one whatever. Like one stop. Ord. Where's Ord? Anybody know where Ord is? There's DCA, which maybe is DC. There's CLT, which might be Cleveland. Let's just see. Economy. Airbus. It doesn't really do a good job of telling me. CLT. Why am I supposed to expected to know? Yeah, Airbus A320. I'm not getting on an Airbus. Why do I have to know the abbreviations of the airlines? Why is that on me? Why am I responsible for that? DCA, I don't know what that is. ORD, that can't be Orlando, can it? Well, if it's not going to tell me if it's not going to tell me what the cities are, screw them. Not going. And there's no direct flights from Dallas. We have two major airlines here, no direct flights. That's a reason not to do it anyway. And those whatevers up there in the East Coast, they don't care. They're already up there. Okay. Damn it. All right. Hi, and welcome to Tom Gully Show, Mr. Brown.
Hi, and welcome to the This is Martin show.
What's going on, man?
Another day of being alive, just all I care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go to another infusion tomorrow, which
man.
ought to be loads of fun.
Well, hopefully it's making you better. Lucas Maligo
Well, I
says...
got to look at the blood tests. There's one part of it that measures your white count and what it is, and I think I told you this before. Mine's supposed to be 1 and above, and it's just below that, and I'm hoping it went higher, but I ran out of I do MCT oil and extra virgin olive oil and use grass-fed butter, and those things usually raise it. And I ran out, and I've just been too beat up to go to the store at 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that count's going to be like, but that'll tell me a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
I hope
where I got to go.
I hope it's positive. You've been getting better and better and better and better. So hopefully it continues.
Yeah, and my delts don't hurt as bad as they were. I took like a couple of weeks off of training.
Yes, Wolf, when you have cancer, you're allowed to take a few weeks off.
Yeah, but I'm so thick right now. It looks like when I have clothes on, I'm fat because my abs are so big and my back is so thick. I've actually cut down on ab work. I've only done like last week 1,200 crunches, and then I'll probably do the same this week.
Yeah. Well, good.
And anyway,
slacking.
That old beer thing is really interesting. You know that their beers taste bad because they filter them through charcoal.
Yeah.
Plus, you're drinking a beer that has yeast that's been used over and over and over for 9 months.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I said, sock. Lucas Maligo says, Tom says he's not a get. Oh, please, I come here for the niche knowledge drops and for the Tom Gully Dabbleverse updates. I don't Dabbleverse update here.
Yeah, that guy that I was talking about is that dude that looks kind of weird he has like the Superman curl. I don't know if his name is Stuttering John or not.
That's him, I think, but we'll never know until we know.
It's these dudes, these 3 or 4 dudes, all they do is make fun of the guy.
Yes.
So I think that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it has to be. That's
Stuttering John guy.
That's the Uncle Rico show, and yes, that's all they do is make fun of him because it's so easy, and he threatens to sue them and all this other and beat them up and everything else. Jenny says, I'm not a beer expert, but I love West Mall Triple. I like some of the triples myself, but hey, this is you. Well, you said you're planning to drink generic beer light. You got it from a grocery store that kept getting shut down.
Bland. You remember that grocery store that used to sell beer? It was like a couple of blocks from campus.
It's Evie's?
I can't remember the name of it, but that could be. But before you got to school, they used to shut that down like every other week because
definitely Evie's.
The ratio of beer to food that was sold was way too high.
Well, Evie's always they had cheap prices on like canned food, like SpaghettiOs, and if you went back to their meat department, it looked like a slaughterhouse, and all the meat was awful. But that generic beer with the black and green stripe on it, they sold that by the pallet load.
Well, the first beer that they got in was just a plain white can that had beer on it and black lettering.
Yes.
And nothing else.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
They had it piled in a pyramid in the main floor.
Yep.
Where the checkouts were. I think that was an L-shaped checkout or something. I can't remember, but anyway. And Bland and I walked in there, and Bland is was always a cheap beer drinker. He's one of those dudes that he told me one time at spring break they'd gone to Florida, and he bought a 90-cent beer, and it was like syrup.
Well, Jenny G.
Drank it.
Jenny G says ORD is Chicago. So I'm going to fly to Chicago from Dallas and go through the nightmare of O'Hare or Midway to get on a plane to Rochester, New York. Why not just kick me in the groin for 3 hours? I mean, no. Orlando's, let's see, Gullarinos Assemble, Hail, Tom and my fellow Gullyhead, says Doc Torn. Cancer blows, man. God bless, Wolf.
Yeah, cancer blows, but you know, here's the weird part. You know how chemo wipes everybody out?
Yeah.
I got stronger. I got stronger on chemo. Believe it or not, I felt better. I felt better on chemo than I'd felt in a long time. Because I've always had this problem. I don't know if it's a Cherokee Indian thing, but the whole side of my mom's family that were women had infestations of candida. And my brother and I got it from my mom, and she got it from her mom, and so on and so on and so on. And it caused a lot of them to be diabetic and stuff. But anyway, that kills bad bacteria as well as good. So it killed off the bad bacteria and allowed my body to finally start working better. So, I mean, that's why I'm so big right now, even though I wasn't even training for shows, although I was doing a pre-show workout. So I guess I shouldn't say that. But
so like that Candida, is it like that song back in the day? Oh, Candida, we can make it together. Remember that song?
Yeah.
Well,
no, it's not like that.
Okay. Reverend Wild Bill has a really good question. We can determine whether it's Stuttering John that you're watching. Wolf, does the guy drink beers and throw the cans toward the trash can?
He did not do it on the air when I was watching.
Okay. I bet you it's him.
But supposedly his son draws these ridiculous cartoons that he has on a board behind him.
I got you.
And they make fun of those cartoon drawings.
It's got to be Stuttering John. Superman haircut. Yeah, his hair changes color all the time. He dyes it. And, Superman.
I thought, are you kidding me? This whole show is about making fun of that guy every day?
It's been going on for years because he comes on and does a show and he lies about things. I'm going to Jamaica, and he puts a picture of where he's staying that it turns out to be a stock photo. I mean, he does so many dumb things, they're impossible to recount. It really is. That was it. Reverend Wild Bill's agreeing with me. That was it. White cans with beer in black on the can. Yeah, this is a job.
Yeah, and then the second one that they came out with was an all white, and it had blue trim. I'm sorry, it had blue trim, light blue trim around it.
Yeah.
The second one that they came out with was light beer. And Bland, of course, went for that too, and I said, Brian, let's buy some. Don't buy that stuff. You always wanted cheap stuff.
Yeah.
But that was the fun of it. When I was a freshman, you missed my real good parties.
I know.
Where I
feel bad.
Got to. I got everybody, all my friends on the floor in Edwards, to give plasma, because you used to be able to get $22.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was $11 a pop.
Yeah.
So every other week you got $11.
Yep.
And I got everybody to do it for the month, and then we took the money and we bought 2 kegs and paid for. Got one of my friends had a guy that was in a band that he knew about, and we paid them $300. And then Ludek got a $100 pig, and we roasted that pig. And just out of the blue, I decided to check around because I wanted it to be someplace safe.
Yes,
I was always all about safety, where we could party and no one would screw with us because they had started cracking down on parties then.
And what was the perfect safe place?
a junior high gym. I went and talked to the principal, and I walked into the school and I said, "Hey, I wanted to ask you a question." And he said, "Sure," because I knew basketball season was over. And I said, "I wanted to ask you a question." He said, "Sure." And I said, "Are you guys using your gyms on the weekend?" And he said, "No, we don't have anything scheduled." And I said, "Well, how much would you charge me to rent that gym out?" And he said, $50. And I said, "Deal." And I promised him that he would not even know we were there. I left that gym floor with 5 coats of wax on it. I stripped it, re-waxed it with 5 coats, buffed it and all that. It looked like glass when I left. And I charged $2 at the door. Uh-huh. We took everybody's keys, and I told them there's not going to be any fights. There's not going to be any arguments. We're all going to have a good time. If anything starts, I'll finish it. And if I can't, the cops will.
Yeah.
And I said, none of you's driving home drunk. So I had one person that could drive people. Well, I had more than one, but I had people that would drive people home that were too hammered to drive. And we started out with 2 kegs, the pig, and then the band. It started at 5. It went till I think I shut the party down at 6 o'clock. We'd gone through 6 kegs.
In the morning.
And, 6 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning. We went through 6 kegs. I stripped the floor, re-waxed it with 5 coats, which I felt kind of bad. I didn't put 7 on it, but I only had time for 5.
Yeah,
so.
you know.
And that party was talked about the entire time I was at school.
Well,
that's the one you missed. And here's the best part. Charging $2 a head, we made $765 net profit, and I spread it amongst everybody. So, I went to business school. What do you want?
Yeah, well, we made money on the Guru party too. SG Fanboy says, just rent an RV and drive. You can pick all of us up in the way. Yeah, Dallas to Rochester. I can't take off work that long. I can't, and no, it would be fun. That part I agree with, but I just can't. Jenny G says, now that is a plan I can get behind, SG Fanboy. Well, one of you guys do the driving and stuff. I don't think I can get there. I'm sorry, but it's a layover to go to Rochester. Stuttering John nephew. That's Stuttering John.
Why are you
Everybody's
going
saying
to Rochester, New York?
Because that's where DabbleCon 2 is.
And this show is this convention would be all about the drunk guy,
and all the shows that revolve around that drunk guy. Wolf, there's not just one show. There's like 10 shows, and Diane O'Brien, by the way, says all the best for you, Wolf. SG Fanboy says WATP. Who are these podcasts? Has been covering John since around 2018 or 2019, and there's no shortage of material. He had a cockroach. He had a cockroach run across his desk while he was on the air one time. It's the funniest thing you've ever seen. He recoils in horror and just about keels over. SD Fanboy says, we could Dumber and Dumber, Tom. You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? Yeah, well, then I'm not doing it. Let's see. Lucas Malago says, the more I learn about this Stuttering John, the more I realize, thanks, Wolf, this is Tom Gully's Dabbleverse. It's really not. Wolf, when you say it like that, it sounds stupid. Yeah, it does. When you say there, it's all about this one guy. Positive energy your way, Wolf, says the Reverend Wild Bill. And you guys both have Cherokee blood, so you're probably blood brothers in some regard.
Ask him if he's heard of the Barefoot Clan.
Well, you just did. He's listening, so.
Oh, yeah.
So, like...
I'm Barefoot Clan.
So I've been...
Flathead, Cherokee Nation, Flathead Tribe, Barefoot Clan.
I have been on a ton of these Dabbleverse shows. And I would like to attend the DabbleCon, but man... a layover to get there? I live in Dallas. I live in Dallas. I flew directly to Bakersfield, California. I mean, Dallas, we have American Airlines and Southwest. I've never had to take a layover anyway. Reverend Wild Bill says, I'm a member of the Bear Clan, Eastern Tribe. So
From Carolina?
I think his people hail from the Appalachians, or I don't know where, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's where the Barefoot Clan is, what's left of it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to tell him. My
Wow.
great grandmother.
Wolf, you're right.
Barefoot.
You're dead on. Reverend Wild Bill says, born on the reservation in Cherokee, North Carolina.
Yep. My great grandmother was the chief's daughter of the Barefoot Clan. And we still have, we're kin to the Roundtrees, Richard Roundtree, his family. There's still a Z Roundtree in Indiana. The Cherokee tribe followed my great grandmother east to west to Oklahoma, but she stopped due to a bribe, I think, in Indiana, which was one of the first. Greencastle was one of the first towns in Indiana back in the 1800s, and has 3 log cabins in the park, which I guess they've moved out of there now. But they got bribed, I think, by one of the councilmen to stay there for their votes. Yeah. And they gave my great grandfather 600 acres of land, which was later stolen from him because he couldn't write. But in that particular area of North Carolina, everybody owed him money because he had a grocery store.
I gotcha.
So anyway.
Well, the Reverend Wild Bill says my dad was full-blooded and my grandmother on my mother's side was full-blooded. And all this talk about Cherokee people, Cherokee pride, so proud to live, so proud to die. I heard that in a song. I do recall that you found it quite hilarious that my grandfather's best friend's name was Carl Kuhnsteck. And when I was talking about my grandfather, me and Kuhnsteck was out there cooking roasting ears, and my grandfather always had a lot of sort of Indiana hillbilly Kuhnsteck stories that you used to like to hear. Reverend Wild Bill says mother's family hailed for the great state of Kentucky, Harlan, Kentucky.
Yeah, my mother still knew all that original Cherokee stuff, and she recorded it to the DePaul University archives. So if you can get into DePaul University archives, you'll find out what really went on back then, because everybody told her stuff. And she knew all the stories about the Klan and all that. And wow. I tried to find, my great grandmother's name was Edlina Barefoot, and I tried to find stuff on her, and they started making, I found this out from another tribe member out here for another Indian tribe, that they've started to try to make people who don't live on the res and all that, try to make their ancestors disappear so if they can keep all the money. Yeah. So there's almost no record of Barefoot Clan. Wow. And the Smithsonian Institute turned all that Indian information over to the tribes, so they don't keep records on it anymore. Well, that was part of the deal they worked out with the Cherokees, so that they would give up slaves, because Cherokee Indians had slaves back in the 1800s. Well, and before that.
The Reverend Wild Bill quite correctly points out that Paul Revere and the Raiders did Indian Reservation, the song. They took the whole Indian nation. Doom, ba-doom, ba-doom, doom, doom. Yeah. 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 I used to listen to that at the pool while playing pinball and drinking grape knee-high. But Jenny G says, we may need a show on some of this. We're having one right now. That's what we're doing.
Oh, my Lord. All the junk that I know. Remember I told you my cousin is all. We're the Dew family. That came Barefoot Married Dew, and it was used to be DUE, but now it's DEW. One of the teachers, when my great grandparents were in school, changed their name by accident, and it just stuck. So we got relatives in England and all kinds of crazy stuff, thanks to my grandfather. But also part of that, on my my grandmother married a Williams, and they're responsible for the Underground Railroad that went through Greencastle. Greencastle used to be crisscrossed in every direction by railroad tracks. So people would hop the railroad, or the train would hop the train out where my grandfather's family lived, because they had this giant lattice that went around the house, and slaves would hide under there. And if they got caught, he would just tell them that they were field workers. And so they would wait for the trains to come by Blackstock Stadium behind Blackstock, and they would jump on that train and head north to northern Indiana and then into Michigan. And that was part of the Underground Railroads. So for years, my grandfather's father ran that Underground Railroad part in Greencastle.
Diana,
and we also had caves that slaves hid out in, as well as John Dillinger.
Diana,
he robbed our First National Bank.
Diana O'Brien says we have Shoshone way back in our blood. And Reverend Wild Bill says I'm 82% Cherokee and 18% Black Dutch, Northern German. And I understand that in Greencastle, Indiana, one had to be very, very careful, particularly during the fall, to not allow fallen leaves to collect under an automobile.
I think I should. I don't know. Well, obviously the statutes of limitations are out on that, and that person's probably left this earth by now. But
sometimes they would accidentally become ignited, and bad things would happen.
Well, I think it's the problem was that this person accidentally raked those leaves onto the curb, and this person just happened to drive their car over it, and there was some sort of spontaneous combustion that occurred and blew the vehicle up.
Catalytic converter got it too hot and kablooey.
It had to be something like that. Electrical fire, something happened.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens.
There were a lot of accidents happening in those days. I understand that I understand that there were some students who accidentally lost their entire front windshield to rock damage.
Yes. And I understand that there was some sort of a cheeseburger outbreak there too. Reverend Wild Bill says, I know in Marietta, Georgia, it's illegal to tie your gator to a parking meter on the square. Yeah, there's a lot of stupid laws like that, and a lot of students had their shoes put in a freezer for some reason.
I understand those two particular things went statewide.
Yes, yeah.
What's the most? How crazy is it that the dumbest thing that you could possibly do turned into a statewide fad?
Well, yeah, there were a lot of fads. Tree tackling, inducing people.
There was more than just the tree tackling. There were some incidents. I know of one where Mark Ludek threw a party that his roommate didn't know about when he came home from having the best schedule known to man, which was 4 night classes and then 1 or 2 day classes, so that he had virtually the entire day free to hang out at Mugley's and drink dollar beers imported beers and go around and have margarita parties and barbecues. And anyway, came home from night class and found a house full of people who used one of his expensive polypropylene Wolford Scott tweetered speakers as an ashtray. This particular person lost his temper, screamed with a loud Viking yell, and smashed a hole into their cupboard, which emptied the house out within about 3 to 5 seconds. And then to get control of his temper, began hitting the tree in front of the house until bark was flying and limbs were falling out of the tree as if it was being shaken.
Well, I also recall that there were a lot of people who were convinced to do things they normally wouldn't have been convinced to do. And one of the people was a guy that would later become somebody's roommate, who was from, I think, Hobart, and his name rhymed with blister. And somebody convinced him to try that he could run across Cardinal Creek, which at that point was 40 feet wide. And halfway across, he started screaming, "I hate you, Warfield. I hate you, Warfield," before he was totally submerged. But he was totally convinced at one point in time or another.
I think that person was responsible for a lot of chicanery and
certainly
and had a tendency to get even with people in the most peculiar ways.
Yes, that they could never figure out why the thing was done to them that happened to them. Diana Bryan says, comes from the French side of my mother. Her surname is Villard. Oh, that's the Shoshone in her family. Jenny G is laughing, and Karen Garvey is laughing. I remember, was it a Coke machine or something that fell out of a window?
I can't believe you forgot about the 60-foot crane they had to get out to get that car off of the...
Yeah. I
off
didn't
the
forget.
wall outside of Palmer.
I didn't forget. I was just about to get to that because things fell out of the window, and then also there was a car that somehow was propped up against a wall.
The director was at the hall desk, and he kept saying, "I don't understand who could have done that." And I said, "I did it."
Well, that was my favorite part, because there were countless times when the director would come upstairs and said, "Who threw this keg of beer out the window?" Whatever it might have been, because we were 8 floors up, or was it 9? We were 9. Yeah. We were on the 9th floor, weren't we? And
we were on the 9th floor.
Yeah, and a certain person would walk straight up and go, "It was me. I did it. I did it." And they would never believe him. No, it was me. I'm the one who did that. No, come on. Just quit joking around.
Well, here's the thing that always made it very easy for me to... I did so much. I was always Mr. Goody Two-Shoes to them.
Yeah.
Because I organized and equipped the weight room that the whole hall used. I would organize stuff like that. In school, when I was in high school, I was on the student council. I did all the Black History Week stuff, gave all the speeches, organized all this stuff, did all the art school stuff. And then I would do stuff like the dark side of the moon for the entire school on senior day, the having destroying all the senior floats, all the floats except ours. the senior skits being banned forever for like 4 or 5 years, the senior class not being able to have a float for 4 or 5 years. Just, oh, Lord.
I recall that there was a walking path that was right past our dormitory, and that there was
Lord, not the girl.
Hey, little fat girl. Hello, little fat girl.
I cannot remember why I was tormenting her.
Because she
did or said something.
Yes, she was really repellent, angry, not very, and she worked at the desk. And
is that why I was after her?
Yes, and she had like denied us something or kept our money from something or something, and then, hey, little fat girl, hello, little fat girl, walk faster, little fat girl. And then she got mad that one time and slipped and fell.
I remember that. It wasn't my thing to make fun of people. Usually it was the opposite. I got over on people who did that. So I can't remember what she did that caused me to go off the rails.
Well, remember you used to have to. I always did it with a very pleasant voice.
Yeah.
She.
I have what I call love letters, where I would send someone here's my style of working people over. My niece's mother, my brother's first wife, was a whack job.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I found out that I every birthday I would send $150 to her. And I found out that her mother was intercepting those letters.
Yeah, keeping the money.
And spending the money on herself.
Yep.
And so I knew that she had a record that she was worried about as a shoplifter when she was younger. And so I found out about her, because she wrote me a nasty letter back telling me they didn't want any contact with me and my niece hated me and all this other stuff, which is forever been a wedge between those two.
Right.
And I sent her what I call a love letter back. And I said, "Oh, thank you so much. It was wonderful to hear from a felon in a beautifully written letter." And I said, "I'm so glad you contacted me, and I would love to open all this up to the federal government and to the postmaster of how you intercepted a private letter in the U.S. mail and stole it." Now, the postmaster couldn't do anything about it because it was their mail.
Right.
But she didn't know that. So I terrified her. Heather said that her mother pranced back and forth, worrying about it after that I was going to turn her over to the federal government.
I just remembered.
I said, thank you so much for sending that wonderful letter, and I just can't wait to hear from you again, Miss Felon. And then ended it with love.
I recall also someone's apartment burning down. I recall that somebody had his car repossessed.
You talking about my Christmas gift?
Yes.
You're talking about.
Well, I also recall someone had his car illegally towed, and they went and reclaimed it.
Yeah.
And then there was some sort of chase ensued, and that car crashed into a house, and the house ended up being the house of a teacher that he needed his final course requirements to get out of school. I think I recall.
Here's the best part of that. The grade went from an A to a B, and the 3.6 that I had went from a 3.6 to a 3.4. And because of that grade, here's the best part, that particular professor, after being reimbursed by the insurance company, later sent me lawsuit papers.
Oh, boy.
For which I sent a love letter back to that professor saying, oh, gee, it's been so wonderful to hear from you after so long. I appreciate your letter, and thank you so much for sending it. By the way, you can go jump in a lake. I live in another state. You'll never collect, but please feel free to try. Yours truly, Kim Warfield.
Was that the art?
And sent him that letter back.
Was that the Art Laffer
and never
guy?
heard from him again.
Was that the Art Laffer guy? Was that his
No,
his takeoff was
it was
fine,
another
but his
professor I had.
landing was all right. Yeah, I recall.
This particular professor did have Coke bottle glasses, but he was a different guy.
I recall.
Art Laffer.
I recall when the apartment burned down, someone showing up at, wasn't my dorm room, but it was those guys I hung out with. It was Zimmerman and Steve. Oh God, we all called him Troy. Steve. Oh God, I should know his last name. Anyway, you came to their room. We opened the door, and you just slapped your coat and smoke, a big cloud of. You just slapped your coat on the shoulder, and a huge cloud of smoke emerged.
Yeah, oh yeah, it ruined. It ruined. Here's the funny part: it didn't get the TV or the speakers, which were plastic, but it melted other stuff, and my clothes were just basically from smoke damage and water. I ended up moving in with Bland out at that country club, which was a joy. And for Christmas, I gave this is why I told you it was definitely not me that did the Christmas tree thing, which I asked Lines about, and I never got an answer on that.
Okay,
but
I think it was him.
I asked him recently, and I never got an answer on it. So maybe I ought to query him again.
Yeah, ask him again.
Bland's roommate's car was parked outside of the country club. And for Christmas, I got a Christmas tree from the hardware store that was at the front of that street. And I don't remember, one of the country club people had something to say about me moving in there temporarily. And so I broke into his car, left a Christmas tree in it with a note on it that said Merry Christmas, and then locked it back up. And Bland and the three roommates were trying to figure out, one of which was that dude that was on the volleyball team that had a real cute girlfriend who saw me stark naked in the showers one night.
Yeah.
After I'd finished training. He was one of the roommates, and then one of them went to Lambda Chi. And anyway, they were freaked out. They thought it was funny, but they were freaked out because they couldn't figure out who it was. And Bland laughed, and he said it was the wolf because he left a note, as I always did. And then to get even with the people at the country club, I let their lawnmower go for a swim, which they couldn't figure out who did that. I felt kind of bad about the lawnmower later, but I returned the Christmas tree, of course, to the hardware store. But
yeah,
there was here. Did I tell you the story about a guy trying to kidnap me when I was in kindergarten?
Yes. Of course.
Should I relate that story to tell these folks how devious I am?
Well, yes. Go ahead. Tell that story, and then we'll button the show up because I got to get going here.
As a kindergarten-aged kid, coming home one day, and I knew that neighborhood like the back of my hands, and it was for the entire time I was alive, we lived around DePaul University's campus, other than when I was 2 years old. And so I knew all the sorority and fraternity houses, every bush, hedge, and tree, every alley, every house of that neighborhood. And so Ridpath grade school was about 3 blocks from our house. And I took shortcuts to get there every day. Even when I was in high school, I walked to school, or ran to school. And so on the way home, this guy, I don't know what kind of car it was a white car, pulled up and asked me if I wanted to ride home. And I said no, and he said, "Oh, come on, let me give you a ride home." And he opened the passenger door and swung it open. It was a white guy, glasses. I looked at how he was sitting in the car. He had one hand on the steering wheel and reached over to open the door. So his foot was on the brake, and I could see that he was, this is a kindergarten kid that's thinking all this stuff through. And his foot was ready to hit the accelerator. So I knew the minute I closed the door, he was ready to drive off. And so I put him at a disadvantage physically, knowing that he could not grab me as long as I didn't get in the car. And I said, "Well, I'm not gonna get in." And he said, "Well, I'll give you some money." I said, "Okay." And he put a handful of quarters on the seat. I looked at the distance from the way he was situated. I knew that he could not let go of the steering wheel and grab me because he was ready to take off. So I grabbed the money real quick and ran off.
So
and
good.
Instead of just hiding or going home, I proceeded to torment him because he was looking for me. I would go, "Hey, I'm over here." And he would look and drive to that area. And by the time he got there, I would be another block over in another hedgerow across from one of the sororities. And he would stop and he would look and I'd go, "No, I'm over here." And he would drive over, pull up to that spot. And by the time he pulled up there, I'd be across the street by a house in the bushes next to the house going, "No, I'm over here." I ran him around for about a half an hour and he drove off angry. And I never saw him again. Took the quarters home and it was $10 worth of quarters and I gave it to my mother. And that's what you're dealing with.
Yeah. It's, there's just a lot of stories of people that ended up being very frustrated because, they didn't think it through. They started some nonsense. I can't even remember all the stuff that we used to do. That was just, we'd be out somewhere and we'd want to play football in a certain spot, and there'd be some people come up and, "Hey, we're taking over this part." "No, you're not. No, you're not."
Yeah. Well, see, we usually, because my dad had run Pee Wee and stuff, most of the kids that would have done that were already playing organized football. So that was never an issue. The issue is when we'd get a pickup game with DePaul University playing in Bowman Gym for basketball. And that was always frustrating to students because we'd always wipe the floor with them.
Yeah.
And I could dunk the basketball at 5'6", so they never expected that either. That used to freak them out. We'd get a game, there was the Mules' house was directly connected to our backyard. Their backyard was connected with ours, and then there were 2 other houses, and then it was the DU's fraternity. And they had a basketball goal behind there. It was only half court, but it was a long half court. And so we get pickup games there, and they'd, try to, "Well, you're just little kids," and blah, blah, blah. And then I would dunk on them, and they'd go, "What the hell?" And that would freak them out. That I would steal the ball, take one step, go up and slam it on them. And they're like, holy cow, what the hell is this kid, you know? So
Well,
there was always that fun.
It's not like we didn't learn things at Ball State. I mean, one of the things probably that I learned that this is like something I'm never going to forget. And it didn't come from one of my classes. It just came from being there. And it was that in the times of the Greeks and the Romans.
In the days. So, okay, now that story, I was competing as I started to get ready to compete for a bodybuilding show, the Mr. Ball State, and this guy was probably one of the richest guys on campus and owned, I think, probably about 100 houses that he rented to students with this thick 200 and 300 page booklet of rules to rent his house.
Well, he was a teacher too.
And, no, he wasn't actually a teacher. He was part of the faculty, though. He was on the board.
Yeah, he was a faculty member because later on.
Hold on, Tom. I got to take a call for class.
Oh, daggone it. Jenny G says, thanks for sharing such funny stories, Wolf. Great show. We haven't scratched the surface. The story he was just about to tell is absolutely hilarious. And this guy, I know what his name was. His name was Joe Mumpower. And he was a member of the faculty advisory of something. I think he used to be a teacher. The point is, he bought tons of real estate up in Muncie, Indiana, and rented homes to students. Made tons of money. Tons and tons of money. Reverend Wild Bill says, the 1 year I went to UGA, I couldn't pass Keg Party 101. Oh, the stuff we used to do. And so the Wolf and I have known each other for over 40 years. And it was sheer happenstance that we got put on the same floor together. Okay. There he is. I think he's back. Hello? The Greeks and the Romans? That was weird. But yeah, it was absolutely just sheer. What the hey is going on there? I think he's probably. Is he trying to get back on me?
He's trying to get back on me. David Lee Ross Cup, Jenny.
Something bizarre is going on. You can always call back in. Just hang up and call back in.
Jump the jigaloo. Dumb face.
There's parts of the past show are playing for some reason. Oh, I had to hang up. Okay, well let me hang up. I'll hang up as well. And then if you want to, you can call back in and finish the Joe Mumpower story. You don't have to, but you can. Joe Mumpower. God, he was a freakish looking dude too. I could always call him, I suppose. Wolf's got like 9 phones there. I'll just call him and see what happens. Hello. I've got a connection. I'm not hearing anything though. No, it just hung up. It says call him. I did, and it just gave me 11 seconds, and then it hung up. So who knows what's going on? This happens occasionally. This happens from time to time. Because the Wolf's got like 5 phones or something with the same number. I don't know what's up with that, but maybe we'll just have to have the story another time. I need a llama break. I'll be right back, says Karen Gard. Tag, you're it. What's on Tuesday nights? Anything? I don't think anything is. I don't know if there's a Rico or what's going on. I'm just a chicken. Everywhere I go, people know the song I'm playing. We'll see if he calls back. If he doesn't, then we'll end it. Oh, there he is. There's a emergency show going on right now. Man, these emergency shows. They really make me laugh. It's not an emergency, really. Oh, it's just now starting. Well, maybe I should let you guys go. Oh, sorry, I had to confirm my trip. Well, you can call back and tell that story, or we can get it another time. It's up to you. Wolf must have accidentally broken his phone into 1,000 pieces. He could. Oh, here he is. Oh, here he is. All right, tell the Joe Mumpower story, and then we'll be done.
Oh,
You're training for Ball State.
I'm training for Mr. Ball State. And I started looking for jobs to do because I wanted to make some extra money. And there was one for supposed to be a trainer. So, I agreed, went over to see the guy, and something didn't seem right. And then I realized that this guy was a little stag or drag, and it got confirmed when I saw his boyfriend. And he had this huge dish outside of his house. The house was really well done inside, and he had an underground, sauna. And so he would. I've always had this ability to put people to sleep when I give them a massage. So
sure.
We did this workout, and then he said, "Well, do you know how to do massage?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I can figure it out. I mean, I know the human body and all the muscles and everything, and I know what to do." So he was talking about how he'd been to China and how they had taught him this special technique for massage. Well, I didn't pay any attention, but he gave me a massage, and then I gave him one, and of course I put him to sleep. And he woke up and he said, "Oh, that's the most relaxed I've ever been in my life." And I said, "Really?" And he, "Oh, yes." And so then he explained to me, in the days of the Greeks and the Romans, it was just considered good manners for the servants of the house to give the guests a massage. And I said, "Really?" Oh, it was just one of the finest things that you could give a guest. And Big John loved that story. Oh, he loved that.
The days of the Greeks and the Romans.
In the days of the Greeks and the Romans, it was just considered good manners for the servants of the house to give a massage. And that's the way he talked. And he had, as John said, and what was his physique like? And I said he had stick legs, stick arms, and a big tight pot belly.
Wasn't he wearing a robe or something?
He had these. He of course had on these ridiculous looking boxer shorts, and I just thought, well, this is probably not exactly. When he started asking me to pose, then I thought, yeah, this is going the wrong way, so I think this is going to basically end. And I said, "Hey, thanks for the work experience, and I'm done."
Well,
and I hated to do that because he was paying me $50 an hour, but it wasn't to train him; it was to give him a massage.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to pick this up another time. I gotta have you tell the Wayne Gabe stories and everything else. But
Oh Lord.
hey,
Wayne
but
Gabe.
seriously, good luck with your treatment, and I hope you continue. Just keep getting better and get past all this nonsense.
Well, you know my feelings on it. God's the only one that can heal me, and I've asked him to. He'll either do it or he won't. But I can say that with all these crazy stories, I have lived life at a breakneck pace
That's
and
true.
enjoyed every second of it, and been able to work with kids, which I loved. And they, my friend Chuck has told them all the crazy stories, and they were like, "Man, that's the coolest thing ever." And I said, "Yeah, not really." And I would get to relay to them the fun, bizarre part of it that they thought was so cool, and then what could have really happened, to teach them, yeah, it sounds cool, but if you really think about it.
Yeah. Well, Diana O'Brien is looking out for you. Jenny G says she's praying for you, Wolf. Everybody's hoping for the
I
best.
thank them for their prayers, and we all have something that's going on in our lives, so I'm no different than anybody else. Yes, I may be physically in the appearance of Superman, but God allows us to be here as long as he allows it, and that's the way it goes,
Reverend Wild Bill, Karen Garvey says, Wolf, take care. Thanks for the stories. Well, maybe Thursday night, if you're not doing anything, call back in and we'll have some more stories.
I can relate to them how many times I have survived death.
There's quite a few. There's quite a few. Imagine me. Come to Ball State. I think I'm there to just play soccer. I move in with Fred Flintstone, and he immediately goes over with the weirdos over there in Mink, and just a couple doors down, other side of the hall. I there's nothing in the world that could have prepared me for it. Absolutely nothing.
For the breakneck roller coaster ride that you were going to experience.
Watching Dynasty with your wonderful roommate Brad, and on a black and white TV, the least furnished room in all the really great stereo, black and white TV. Otherwise, pretty much looked like the dorm room looked when you moved in. That was it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Reverend says, "Can you have two callers at the same time?" Sometimes when Skype is playing nice. Thank God Tom and Wolf met up. Yeah, it's been great for me. The fun I've had. Reverend Wild Bill says Wolf and I could take over the show. Chaos. Well, I guess if that's what you want to think. I just allow things to happen when they're going well. But
I must say that I have tremendous respect for everything you've accomplished. Pro soccer, being 6'5".
Well,
I saw you last,
I remember.
It's mind blowing.
I remember being in that dorm room and laughing so hard I couldn't breathe, and that thing where your side muscles on the outside of your rib cage were like almost pulled. They were so tight you were having difficulty breathing. You were laughing so hard. We were just laughing and laughing and laughing and not stopping. And then go down to the dining service and watching the people come in, and just people watching, and the 3.5 foot tall ice cream.
When he be cool, he be Popeye. But when he be bad, he be Billy the Kid.
Yeah, it's so big it wear you down.
Between that and, oh my gosh, what was the deal? Oh, he had that little tune that he would play, that he would hum whenever I came into dining service, and I can't remember what it was, but the dudes that were with him had gotten lit up by me, so they didn't have they were like, dude, you don't know who you're messing with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our starting linebacker, that dude that was from, I can't remember his name, but he was from Muncie South. I lit his behind up and flipped him in the air so many times, and he said, man, you don't know who you're messing with. That dude is bad news.
Yeah.
And I said, one time he did it, and I said, I sure wish I had come to a major university to learn how to be a better football player. And everybody in the whole lunchroom started laughing.
Yeah, because they were so bad and they were such bullies. I remember 3 or 4 occasions when me and the mumbler
and you pointed out how Carmel worked at Fort Wayne Dwenger like a stepchild.
Oh yes, yeah. I was like, yeah, you went to Dwenger? Yeah, well, I think we just beat you 28-0 in the state championship game. And yeah, it's like, hey, if you want, I can take the imprint of all my high school friends' helmet out of your ass or whatever. I was saying stuff to him. I also remember, I was so vocal about it with Cox and those guys. I was like, you guys walk around here
Lord.
like you are such the cool dude. You're 3-8. Okay? You're really bad. You're like 1 win in the conference. Your 2 wins came against Anderson University and Oberlin or something. You're terrible. And you weren't even Division I schools. But I remember there were times when some of those guys would be in a group, and usually somebody like Treadway, or not necessarily Treadway, but one of the more bullying people.
Were you there when I threatened him?
Oh, yes. Oh, I was there. It was wonderful because he was
those 2 lunkheads that started to break globes, and I told him I was going to.
Yeah. Yeah, the ceiling, the light globes, they were starting, and it's like, we're not paying for that. And he immediately backed down. But I remember there were times either just outside in the fishbowl or something, a bunch of those guys would be together, and one of them would be being a jerk. And like
always jerks.
We were waiting to go somewhere, and you then came downstairs, and they were being jerks to us, and then you would come downstairs, and like if there were 5 of them, the one jerk guy would immediately straighten up, and the other ones go, "Hey Kim, what's up?" Like they got all on their best behavior then. You with these guys? Yeah, we're going to a party over at the Pink Palace. Oh, hey, cool, man, cool. And then they would, just go about their business. It's like,
God, I remember Tread because he wrestled at Columbus, and I had wrestled there in an open tournament, and I remember. Treadwell was talking not Tread.
Chitwood.
What was? Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that could cover both of his eyes with a quarter. They were so close together.
He's a high-level surgeon now. He was always really smart.
He was
really smart. Both of them were.
He was smart, but he was a jerk.
I remember him trying to talk some crap, and I picked him up over my head and slammed him.
Yeah.
That was our starting center.
Oh, he was all conference and stuff. I mean, he was, and I think he was an academic All-American, and he also.
He was.
I just remember when Treadway did his knee, and you put the jelly knee on his door.
I drew a picture of a leg with a circle, a red circle, and a cross going across the knee, and then stapled a pouch to it, and Mullen filled it with Jell-O.
Jelly knee.
Because I called Treadwell jelly knees.
Yeah, well, back then, once your knee went, you couldn't put weight on it, you couldn't cut on it, you could just go
you were done.
straight forward if you were lucky. All right, I got to get out of here. Call back in on Thursday.
All right.
Well,
it's good having fun on here, and good Lord, some of these stories are just so crazy. People are out like, were you guys part of Animal House or something? I'm like, no, we were doing this stuff before the movie was even on in '76.
Yeah. We
the things you could get up to when you were in farming communities.
Yeah. Well, call back in because I gotta have you tell the Wayne Gabe stories and a bunch of that stuff. Those are awesome. I remember a couple of stories you might not remember too, but
what are you little S's up to? That's what Wayne would say every time because Chief had a tendency to call in sick, and then I would go over after school because he lived on the way home. I'd drop over after school, and he would always be sitting on the couch watching the Three Stooges in a robe with a cig and a cup of coffee.
Well, Karen Garvey says, please call on Thursday. These stories crack me up. So we'll do that on Thursday. So anyway, man, good luck with your treatment, and we'll talk at you later, and I'll get out of here and get some dinner and go to sleep.
Still praying for your dad to do well, too.
Yeah, he's getting so much better. He's really, really, they can't cure it, but they can treat it, and the treatment is really working well. So thank you for that. That's
I'm glad.
Great, yeah, that's a load off my mind. So anyway, we'll talk at you later, brother.
All right, adios.
Later. That's the Wolf. It's just one of the, people would ask me who's the funniest person you ever met, and I'd say, you don't know him. It's a guy I knew in college. He's just absolutely irrepressible. Dinah Bryan says, yes, call back due. Karen Garvey says, what time on Thursday? That'll be 8 o'clock Eastern. 8 o'clock Eastern time. 7 my time. I'm Central. So anyway, go check out Rico. See if you can get a direct flight from Dallas to Rochester in mid-August. I might go up there. Good luck with Wolf. Glad your dad's getting better, Tom. Yes, he's doing well. All righty. That's going to do it for us. I guess the only thing left to say, this is a fun show, a good show. I'm hoping for good things for the Wolf. So, till next time, we'll see you next time.